Shadowed Seekers, the podcast where forgotten tales from the edges of reality emerge into light. I am your host, Elijah Freed, speaking to you alone from a quiet room in the dead of night. Here, we explore the stories that history tried to erase, the legends that refused to die. Tonight, for our Season 1 finale, we aren't just looking at a single shadowed mystery, but at the very architects of the dark. We've spent weeks chasing whispers and shadows, but tonight, these ghosts have names, and the whispers are recorded in declassified government ledgers. We're going to look at what the CIA admittedly did, and the lives they shattered in MKULTRA, and even the monsters, both human and otherwise, they may have pulled into our world through the concrete ruins of Montauk. This isn't about the good of the country. It's about a government that stopped serving its people and started playing with the fabric of their souls. Some seekers prefer to remain hidden, but tonight, we drag them out by their feet. Let's start with the truth. MKUltra isn't just a theory. In 1973, the CIA director Richard Helms ordered the destruction of all files related to the project. He almost succeeded in erasing the evidence, but 20 years of state-sponsored terror, he missed a few boxes in the financial records building. About 20,000 documents survived. Those pages documented a war against the American mind. They used expendables. They dosed unsuspecting people in safe houses in San Francisco and tortured mental patients with 15-hour electroshock sessions. They targeted the bright young minds of our universities, and they weren't looking for truth. They were looking for a way to delete the human soul and write a new program over it. What happens when you break a human being beyond their limit and decide to not put the pieces back together? You get what the agency calls bad actors. Take a 16-year-old math prodigy at Harvard named Ted Kaczynski. Before he was the Unabomber, he was subject 212 in a CIA-funded experiment. For 3 years, Kaczynski was subject to abusive and sweeping psychological attacks. His deepest beliefs were mocked and his ego shattered. His mind turned into a pressure cooker of resentment. The CIA didn't just study Kaczynski. They cultivated and radicalized isolation that led to a 17-year-old bombing campaign. He is the proof that agency's experiments weren't just failures of science, they were successes in creating domestic nightmares. They sharpen the knife and act surprised when it cuts. How do we know they aren't just using these tactics today to cultivate mass attacks or assassinations by seemingly normal people? But the darkness didn't stop with psychological torture. When MKUltra allegedly ended, the work migrated to the tip of Long Island to an abandoned Air Force base called Camp Hero in Montauk. This is where the interests of the mind met the bleeding edge of physics. They talk about the Montauk chair, a seat where it could read a psychic's thoughts and transmit them through a massive Sage radar dish. But witnesses like Al Bielek and Duncan Cameron claim it was much more. They say the chair could manifest objects out of thin air and rip holes in time itself, creating time tunnels or portals. And there was the beast. The story goes into that moment of psychic overload. A literal monster, a hairy creature, hairy clawed entity from the subconscious, was manifested into our reality. It repeatedly tore through the base, forcing the project to be shut down. Whatever that monster was, flesh and blood or a high-frequency hallucination burned into the brains of the staff, the scars remained. A generation of Montauk boys, kidnapped, runaways, used as subjects, were left with shattered lives and memories of things that shouldn't exist. The CIA claims they do these things for national security, but look at the results. They created Kaczynski, the Unabomber. They allegedly tore holes in the psyche of children at Montauk. They aren't for the good of the country. They are a rogue state within a state. A group of men playing God with a budget that stays off the books. They didn't protect us from the Cold War. They brought the war to our schools, our hospitals, and our very minds. Before we sign off for this season, there's one more shadow I've been meaning to discuss. In 1950 and 1975, the United States government experimented with weaponizing ticks and other insects as a biological delivery system. Recently, documents were declassified talking about how Lyme disease was created in a science lab spread by ticks and other insects from a base in Old Lyme, Connecticut, where the disease first appeared. This science experiment was based on this little island called Plum Island. It was a high-security animal disease research center that declassified documents show was a hub for Cold War germ warfare research. While the government denies a connection, the locals tell a different story. Every while, there was sicknesses and plagues that the human body could not fight that would just randomly pop up in the surrounding area. Many people were sick. Many people got sick and had to go to the hospital with these random diseases. If you ever needed proof that the machine didn't care about collateral damage, this is it. They don't play with time and minds all the time. They played with the very ecosystem we live in as a whole. They released a weapon that doesn't need a missile. It just needs a blade of grass and a host. It's disgusting. The United States government isn't for the people. As we close this first season, remember this. The most dangerous monsters aren't the ones that come through portals. The most dangerous monsters are the ones in suits holding up a clipboard telling you it's for your own protection while they flip the switch. Keep your eyes open. The signal is still out there. If you've ever felt gaps in your memory or seen something near that old radar tower that defies logic, reach out. I want to cover it. And the shadows are listening. Until next season, stay vigilant. And some wars don't start with real explosions, but with silence where the truth should have been. And some doors, once opened, can never be closed. Here's a little bit different. This is a housekeeping session. So this was the finale for this season, for season 1. I'm going to be picking it back up in a few weeks. I'm going to take a break for a while and record some episodes. Recently, I've been scrambling to hit my upload date, so bear with me. I'm not going to be gone forever. I'm just working on more projects, and I am going to be back up probably around June, but I'm going to take a good month break and record a couple episodes and not hit my upload date a little bit. So it's going to be a good 3 or 4 weeks. Other than that, it was good. It was fun. I'll see y'all in season 2. See ya. This has been Shouted Secrets. I'm Elijah. Good night.